Hi everyone, it's Crafty Tina's. Today's video I'm going to show you how to make a shadow box using a scoring board instead of using the shadow box punch board. Now I bought this and have made a ton of these shadow boxes. I love this punch board, but there are some people that can't get it because it's out of stock or it's not available in their area or it's not affordable at the moment. There's multiple reasons why people can't get the shadow box punch board, but that's no reason why they can't have fun. So I'm going to show you today how to make a template using your scoring board so that you can make all these different size and shape shadow boxes just like if you were using the shadow box punch board. So let's get started so that I can show you everything you need to know. The answer to your question is, would I still buy this knowing that I can make it with my scoreboard? And the answer is yes. If you have room in your craft room, if you can afford it, and if you can get your hands on it, I do recommend it. It is quicker, faster, and more precise when it comes to the actual cutting. I'm not very good hand cutting, even though it's just a few snips. I'm not good hand cutting and I'm not comfortable hand cutting. So I love the punch boards. I would highly recommend it. But if you don't know if you're going to make enough shadow boxes to justify another punch board, then make a few shadow boxes, get a feel for it. Check out my other videos of decorating these shadow boxes before you make a decision. So let's get started so I can show you every step you need to make your own shadow box using a scoring board. I'm using the Works. You can use any scoring board. I have the Martha Stewart 12 by 12 big one. I bought this to go in the camper, but I've become kind of attached to it and I've been using it in a lot of my videos. So today's video is all about making the shadow boxes. Now, these two are both the same. They're both 3.5. They're 3.5 square, which means they're 2.5 square on the inside. They're the exact same. You cannot tell a difference. Do you know which one I made using the shadow box punch board and which one I made using the scoring board? If you've seen my other videos, you know this was in another video, so you know this was using the punch board. This was using the scoring board just a few minutes ago. So let me show you how I did it. First thing you're going to need to know is you're going to make 4 templates. You don't need 4 templates, you only need 1. But in order to make sure you cut the correct space in all 4 corners, I'm going to show you this video, you're going to make 4. Going forward, if you understand the concept, you will only need 1. But for some of us, like me, I'm very visual. And if I don't have everything numbered and labeled and ready to go, I'm going to mess it up. You can make a number of sizes and shapes. You're not limited to just 4 sizes that the shadow box punch board shows you. Please watch my other videos about these shadow boxes. There's a lot more information. But one of the most important things you need is you need to go over to my Facebook page and you need to print out the shadow box sheet. This is going to give you the size paper to start with for the square and the rectangle shadow boxes I've made so far. Now guys, this board lists 4 sizes, but we're not making just 4 sizes. We are making a lot of sizes because we have made all kinds of stuff with these shadow boxes. Today's video, we're going to make 2 different sizes. We're going to make a 4.5 by 7, which is the largest size you can make using an 8.5 by 11 sheet of cardstock. And we're going to do a 3.5 shadow box. The reason I'm making these 2 shadow boxes is because in my next video, or in one coming up, I want to do something with these 2 sizes, so we're going to go ahead and make them. So once you have this sheet, that is going to show you how to make the actual shadow box. The first step, since we don't have in front of us the punch board, we're going to use the scoring board. You're going to cut 4 pieces at 2.5 by 2 inches. All 4 pieces. Try to cut them as accurate as possible. The more accurate your templates are, the more accurate your shadow box will be. So you're wanting to do these at 2.5 by 2, and that is in inches. Once you've cut it, you're going to take your, if you're using the works board, you're going to take the cutting side, flip it over to the scoring side, and it has a top edge, goes right back in here, and that edge is so the paper doesn't go into the cutting surface. You're not using the cutter, you're using the actual scoring board. You're going to take your tool out. Now on all 4 pieces, you are going to score a 1/2 inch line. You're going to do 3 lines on the 2-inch side, and you're going to do 4 lines on the 2.5 inch side. You're going every 1/2 inch. So with your paper up against the top and the right hand edge, you're going to do a 1/2 inch, a 1 inch, a 1.5 inch, and a 2 inch. That gives you exactly 1/2 inch increments. There's 5 of them here. Now we're going to turn it and we're going to do 3 lines so that we can have 1/2 inch increments on this side as well. So we're going to go 1/2 inch, 1 inch, 1.5 inch. And now we have like a grid line on our piece of paper. There are 5 boxes this way and 4 boxes down. You're going to do that with all 4 pieces. You're basically making grids. One inch or 1/2 inch, 1 inch, 1.5, and 2. 1/2 inch, 1 inch, 1.5, and 2. You're going to turn it 1/2 inch, 1 inch, 1.5. You want to do all 4 pieces. Now, like I said, you can do this with 1, but I really want you to do 4 to start out, and I'm going to show you why. If you're very visual, you're going to want 4 pieces. So now I have all 4 pieces that are basically little grids. I'm going to scoot this over. Now, like I said, we are going to make the 4.5 by 7. That is the largest you can make using an 8.5 by 11 piece of cardstock. If we were using a 12 by 12 piece of cardstock, we could make an 8 by 8 or any size up to 8 inches. But in this case, I wanted to use an 8.5 by 11 sheet of cardstock. So our box is going to be 4.5 by 7. The inside is going to be 3.5 by 6. This sheet, again, is on my Facebook page under the file section. Because we don't need to cut this piece of paper, this piece of cardstock, we're going to do this size first. Before I do this, I need to show you how to make your templates. Now, you need to hold it with the 5 across the top and the 4 going down. You're going to take your scissors. I'm actually going to draw it out first. You're basically going to cut up the first 1/2 inch, exactly diagonal across the second block. You're going to leave the third block totally intact, and you're going to cut 1/2 diagonally across the top. You're basically getting this little bulky looking P. And this is why I prefer the punch board, because my cutting isn't the best, but you guys get the idea. You need to do that to all 4 pieces and do it on the same side. It doesn't matter. You always have to make sure the largest size is on top. So your 5 little blocks are going to be on top, and your 4 is going to be on the right hand side, and that's where you're going to cut. So you're going to cut up, diagonal, skip, diagonal in, up, diagonal, skip, diagonal again, up, diagonal, skip, diagonal again. Now I have 4 templates that are exactly the same. Now I'm going to show you, make sure you can see all 4 corners of my page. I'm going to show you how to lay these out. Just like with the other punch board, the longest edge is going to stay on top. I don't know if it matters, but by the way you roll these in, I have noticed that it is best if the longest side was the pointed side. This is the cut side, this is not cut. You're going to take the very first one, the P facing right. This is going to go in this top corner. See how, looking at this paper, there's a point here? You're going to take another P, you're going to flip it over and put it on the right hand side. And again, you have this point of this paper. Now we need to do the bottom to mirror the top. So we're going to take our P and we're going to flip it and place it in the bottom left hand corner. There's a point here, and we're looking at this paper when I say there's a point. And once we cut this, I'll show you what point I mean. You're going to take this P and you're going to flip it and place it in the bottom corner, and now you have that point. These are the areas you need to cut out in order for this to become your shadow box. Now we're going to write on these so that you never have to worry about flipping and moving again. We're going to draw an arrow from the corner, and we're going to write right top. We're going to come down here and draw an arrow from the corner, and we're going to put right bottom. We're going to come to this side and draw an arrow, and we're going to put left bottom. We're going to come to the top and draw an arrow from the corner, and we're going to put left top. Okay? Now, no matter what we do, we put these in a drawer, we bring them back out. Now, no matter what, we can put these right top, right bottom, left top, left bottom. And we have our templates exactly where we want them to be. How nice is that? So now let's score our cardstock so that we can cut these out and make our shadow box. This was time consuming, but was necessary because now you have these ready for the rest of all of your shadow boxes, no matter what size shadow box you're using, because we're only doing a 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch wide and deep shadow box. This will always work for every single size. You no longer have to worry about making another template. Now, the only thing you have to be concerned is you need to start with the correct size paper to get the correct size shadow box. And the way you do that is using my sheet. So I know I want to make a 4.5 by 7, and on here, the outside 4.5 by 7, my sheet is 8.5 by 11. I already have it 8.5 by 11, so I am ready to use it. Now, all we are doing to this sheet is we are scoring it. And we are scoring it just like we scored our templates and just like we score on our punch board. There are 4 score marks 1/2 inches apart. So we are going to take our piece of cardstock that we are going to use, and we are going to put 4 score lines on all 4 sides. So pushing it straight up against the edge and across the top. And you can open your scoreboard if you like. you're not scoring that far over, but if it makes you more comfortable that your paper's not flat, because you want to get it as nice and even as possible because it will make your frame around your shadow box even. So we're going to do 1/2 inch, 1 inch, 1.5, and 2. Then we are going to turn, doesn't matter which way because you're doing this on all 4 sides and nothing is changing. 1/2 inch, 1 inch, 1.5 inch, 2 inch. And you're turning again. You're going to do a 1/2 inch, a 1 inch, a 1.5, and a 2 inch. And you're turning it to the 4th side and you're doing the same thing. The paper does start curling, so as long as you line it up to the side and the top and then you hold it down, you're still going to be in the proper place even if the paper looks like it's curling. We're doing 1/2 inches all the way to 2. Now, this side might be easier for you to see. We have 4 lines on all 4 sides. Move this over. And now I'm going to leave it on this side so that you can see without the pattern being in the way. Now remember, no matter how we mix these up or no matter what we do, we can always put them right back where they need to be. Right bottom, left top, right top. Remember, we have the little arrow to go in the corner. You can do this by, next step, by holding it, using your scissors and cut. But there's already a score line here, there's already a score line here, and here. So the only place I really need the line is for the diagonals, because I already have a score line there. If you're more comfortable putting all the lines, by all means go ahead. So I'm going to bring this closer to the camera so you can see it. I'm simply cutting this score line. And again, remember, I'm not cutting straight because I can't cut straight. I'm cutting up, diagonal from score line to score line, straight, and then diagonal score line to end. So I have just cut out exactly what our template said to cut out. This is what the punch board cuts out. It cuts this out of your piece of cardstock. I prefer punching over cutting, but this is a good way to know if you're going to want to make all of these shadow boxes. So that's our left top. You don't need this anymore unless you want to keep it for punching little flowers or other things. Now we want to do the left bottom. Now I'm going to show you how to do it holding it. You need to make sure you hold it in the corner. It's diagonal, straight, diagonal, straight, and then straight across that score line. And now I have the bottom left exactly like my template tells me to. Now I'm going to come over and do the bottom right. I'm going to hold it in the corner so that the corners match up. I'm going to go straight up. Then I'm going to go straight, diagonal, straight, and then diagonal. And now I'm going to do the top right. And you can do this in any order you want to do. It doesn't matter, whatever you're comfortable with. Diagonal, straight, diagonal, straight, and cut across the score line. And now I have the exact same thing I would have had if I had used the punch board. And again, if I had to do it over again, I would still buy that punch board. It is a much simpler process, but this still gets the job done. Now, in case you haven't seen my other videos, I'm going to really quick make this for you, and then we're going to make one more shadow box so that I can give you some other information. You're going to flatten all the score lines. And you're going to do all of them in, because I want this to be my actual box and this is going to be the inside. If I wanted my actual frame to be white and my inside to be printed, I would have folded it in this way. So however you look at it, this is going to be the center of your shadow box. So we're going to fold this side up. And you want to give them a nice crease, because the cleaner the crease, the cleaner the frame is going to look, the actual shadow box frame. These are 1/2 inch tall shadow boxes and they're 1/2 inch wide. You can use the same principle to make a larger shadow box. Now remember I talked to you about the points? When you're making the shadow box, there are your points. Your points need to be on the top and on the bottom, mirrored, like they're up here, they're down here. If you did this and turned it all 4, it's not going to come together properly. You need 2 sides to be the points so that you have a diagonal cut, and you need 2 sides to have no cuts. See how this is no cuts, so that it can roll inside those 2 diagonals to form your shadow box. Now you can use any kind of adhesive you want, but make sure it's a strong one. I'm using score tape. I have had good luck with the score tape. You can use a tape runner, you can use glue, you can use Mod Podge. Make sure it's something that you have tested and it stays, because these can pop open if the adhesive is not strong. We're going to put adhesive on the ones with the points. We're going to roll this into a square, just like I've done in every one of my videos making shadow boxes. From here on out, guys, it is exactly like every video I've made using the shadow box punch board. So if you didn't have that tool and you really wanted to make one of these, please go back and watch a few of those videos. There's several of them, and there's going to be a lot more coming out. We basically have made a square tube on the top and the bottom, and they have these little mitered edges. So now we're going to roll up the top, the sides, or the top and bottom, depending on how you're holding it. For these sides, the ones that don't have the point, I like to put the score tape on the inside instead of on the flap. And you need to put it on the inside inside of the last score line. So basically it's going to be on your flat bottom before the score line. And you're simply going to roll this into a square to get it inside, and then press it down. So you're basically getting it in there. You're getting it inside these little mitered triangles. And look how perfect that is. It's no different than when we used the punch board. The only thing the punch board is good, it saves you time. It also punches straight. We're going to do the other side with the score tape. I like the punch boards. I know you don't need punch boards to make all these pretty things, but I really like using them. There's something very soothing about, you basically punch, slide, punch, and you've got this cut out. It's very soothing, very therapeutic to just punch, 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 and you're done. You still have to put all the score lines just like the scoring board. And we're basically rolling this side in, making sure it fits properly, and then flattening it so we can smooth the actual cardstock. So now I have my cute little shadow box. How nice and festive is that? To seal it up, you're going to use a glue that has a fine tip on it. I'm using Barely Art Precision Craft glue right now. I kind of like it. I haven't had any fails with it. Nothing's popped open, and I am in Florida, and it's always hot and humid no matter what you're doing. So you're putting it in the corner and then just pushing it in there. You're going to hold it for a few seconds because you want it to get a good tight seal. So I'm holding this in and I'm holding these two. And pretty much you can hold it with one hand and kind of tap and rub the little mitered edge, because this cardstock is all the way in there and this one's only half. You want that glue touching both pieces of the cardstock. And we only put a drop in there, so you want to make sure it gets kind of spread out. So you're going to put glue on the others. You're putting it on that little corner, just like that, in the upper corner of the straight piece so it can go under the mitered piece. And then again, you're going to hold it. This is not paper I've had for a long time. I bought this year at Hobby Lobby recently, so I will show you in 1 second what paper stack these two came out of. So you're wanting to tap, you want to hold, give it a few seconds. If your glue dries faster than that, you might not have to hold for a few seconds. This one doesn't take that long, and then it's nice. And now we have our shadow box using our scoring board. Now, if you like this paper, it was the berry and pine, and it was 50% off recently at Hobby Lobby. I liked all the colors. It was really pretty. It has a lot of plaids, some berries, some trees. It even has cardinals. It had a good mix of the green and reds. So the first thing I thought of was I want some shadow boxes. It even has some ornaments. So now we have our 4.5 by 7. So we're going to make another one because I'm going to show you what I'm going, well, the beginning of what I'm going to do with these two shadow boxes. Now the other one I'm making into a square, not a rectangle, and I'm going to make it into the 3.5. So on my printout we have square and we have square, we have rectangle. If you've watched my other videos or you've seen my other printouts, you know that I make them so you can fold it and then you can wire bind it using a cinch so that you have it in a notebook. So because this one is square, the outside is 3.5. We're going to go to the outside column to 3.5. My paper needs to be 7.5 by 7.5. The size of your paper that you start with dictates what size shadow box you're going to have. I want to show you how the same templates work no matter what size your shadow box. So we basically need a 7.5 by 7.5. So we want to flip this around so that we can cut if you're using the works board and you're wanting to go to 7.5 by 7.5, because this box is square, so our paper will be square. This box was rectangle, so our paper that we started with will be rectangle. It's easy enough to remember. Now we have it a 7.5 piece of cardstock. According to our paper, 7.5 piece of cardstock will make a 3.5 by 3.5 shadow box. So we are going to close this so we have less craziness. We no longer need to make our templates. We've already made them. We're going to keep using them. You can use them for every size. Every size, guys. Don't think you have to keep doing this much work every time. You're going to always use them. But we're going to take our 7.5 by 7.5 and we're going to do the scoring. So we're going to flip this around the scoring. and we're going to score at a 1/2 inch on all 4 sides. So 1/2, 1.5, 1, 1.5, 2, 1/2, 1, 1.5, 2. And I'm going to go quicker on this one because we already made one. I just wanted to give you another look at the square as opposed to the rectangle, just in case you're like, no, that template's not going to work for all of them. I wanted to assure you it will. And now we have 4 score lines on all 4 sides. Using our templates, remember, no matter what kind of order they're in, right bottom, right top, left top, left bottom. Now we know exactly where we need to cut and how we need to cut. So I am very comfortable just holding it with the template. I wasn't at first. I was using a pencil and marking it. I can't use a pencil on camera because you guys wouldn't be able to see it, but I was using a pencil because sometimes I wouldn't cut enough and my line would show. So I was using a pencil so I could erase if I had any problems. And as I cut it out, I hold my paper back in the right spot so I know where the template is. Now, if you question, does it matter if it's face up or face down? It does not. However you start, you need to do all 4 the exact same way. You don't want to start like this, then flip your paper over and continue because your point is no longer top or bottom, it's now on the side. So however you start is how you need to finish. So just keep those points. If your points are up here, your points need to be down here. That is the important part. We're going to do a diagonal, a straight, diagonal, a straight, and then we're going to cut along the score line. I'm going to put my paper back like it was because I've done my left. Now I'm going to do the right side. I'm going to put my little arrow back in the corner. This is just a way I came up with to help you guys distinguish where. Someone else already did this on my Facebook page. They made themselves a little template and they've been making shadow boxes and it worked well. I want to thank them for sharing that. It's really important that you have a community of crafting that you can share ideas with. Find yourself a Facebook page and talk to other crafters. You'd be amazed at what you're going to discover. So we have points on top. We need points on the bottom. I'm going to take my right bottom. And as you see, if we cut this, we'll have that point. You don't want a point here, a point here, a point here, and a point here. Sorry. You don't want a point here, a point here, a point here, and a point here. You want 2 points on the top, 2 points on the bottom, or 2 points on the side and 2 points on the side. That is how your shadow box rolls together properly, is based on where those points are. Guess I should have been telling you guys what I'm cutting, but you've seen me cut these a couple times now. Basically, we're just following our templates. And now I have cut it out exactly like my templates. I'm going to roll this one together, but I'm not going to glue it, so don't worry, I'm not going to keep you long. I just want to show you the next direction I'm headed. So we've made all kinds of shadow boxes. I also have a video showing you how to make the shadow box sleeves, and that is the little sleeves that go over the shadow box, and I don't have one in front of me to show you, but we make sleeves so that you can close the shadow box in case you're putting a gift inside. I do have a video that shows you how to make that sleeve no matter what size shadow box you're making, because the shadow box punch board doesn't show us how we can make sleeves when we're making shadow boxes that it doesn't recommend. So I did a video already showing you how to make the sleeves. I've done several videos on making shadow box ornaments and notebook holders, how to put these on top of gift boxes. There's just tons of videos out there for you guys. And I really love making these, so there's going to be more. So I'm just putting this together enough so that I can show you another idea with the shadow boxes. So it is Christmas, and one of my favorite things to make, regardless of Christmas or not, are flowers. These shadow boxes are perfect for 3D flowers. If you do the paper quilling, where you roll up the little strips of paper, this is the perfect frame for those. And I really suggest doing some shadow boxes if you do those. However, my next project is going to have some poinsettias in it because we are getting closer to Christmas. We got to get our Christmas crafting going. So I had an idea. I've had this idea for a while, just haven't done it. Is doing 2 shadow boxes in one so that I could have flowers and still have a photo. Now I'm not going to finish this because I don't want to keep you guys forever because you guys have crafting to do. However, I want to put 2 shadow boxes together and then have flowers on each side. Now I know I've squished this shadow box because I was not paying attention because I was talking, but this is my idea. By putting 2 together and then making a hanger for them, because we have made some really cool ones with hangers, such as the fall. Actually, I don't think this video is posted yet, but it is coming up. I think it would be really cool to have this shadow box with a Christmas photo on the inside and poinsettias and greenery sticking out on each side. So that was the reason I wanted to make this shadow box and this one. I wanted to show you that the templates we made today are going to work no matter what size shadow box you do. This is a 3.5 by 3.5, and this one was a 4.5 by 7. And even though one is rectangle and one is square, our templates still worked. So we have made a total mess today. That's the best part about crafting. Please make sure you subscribe so that you'll know when I make more videos and they get posted. We're going to have a lot of more fun making shadow boxes and using the Works board. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, happy crafting.